welcome back to Getaway Day. As always, I am Mason, he is Gautham, and it is the League Championship Series, almost the World Series. Now, we're recording this in the midst of Game 6 of the Mets-Dodgers series, so you might get a little bit of conversation about that interjecting. We wanted to go ahead and talk a little bit about the Yankees here, since they clinched yesterday. So this will be a pretty brief episode. Hopefully we'll have a second one of these brief episodes out this week talking about the National League team that will be facing off against the Yankees. But 5 games of the American League Championship Series. The Yankees take it 4-1. What stood out to you in this series? You can talk about any specific game, any specific player. I don't care. What stood out to you this series that was the, yes, this is the Yankees that I expected. This is the Yankees that deserve to be in the World Series. This is actually a really good Yankees team. What in this series made you think that?
Oh, I mean, that was evident throughout the series from all aspects of their game. I think they won the series handily. Obviously, they won the series 4-1, but they did it with strong starting pitching from Carlos Rodon in Game 1. That was huge for them, getting the series started on a good note. And then their offense did Yankee things, even with Judge not playing maybe to his full potential, but he had his moments in there, and then other players, and some, especially some of the supporting cast guys like Gleyber Torres and who else? Who else in the lineup?
Giancarlo Stanton was just out of his mind in the series.
Yeah, he was ridiculous. Had 4 home runs in the series. And then the bullpen. The bullpen was really good too, picking up the slack in like the game where Garrett Cole went short. And I just thought the Yankees showed their best selves in this series, really, and that's why they won it so handily.
So, if you all remember, prior to this series, I had prior to the postseason, sorry, not just this series, I had some big questions about the Yankees. The biggest concern I had was there were really 2 to 3 players at a time who were playing really, really well. Juan Soto, Aaron Judge, and really Giancarlo Stanton had just a really solid all-around season this year. Relatively healthy as far as he's concerned, and I didn't really have a whole lot of concerns about those 3 coming into the postseason. The other 6 guys, the supporting cast in this lineup, I had massive question marks after, but all of these guys, Austin Wells, Gleyber Torres, have shown up, and they've been on base. They've been driving in runs. They've been picking up Aaron Judge while he's in a little bit of a down streak. He finally got his postseason home runs going. He's finally started to get some hits going. It's still not where he wants to be, but seeing this team so energetic, putting up as many runs as they are, seemingly never out of it, it's taking a lot of the load off of Aaron Judge to do what he did in the regular season. And I think that's ultimately what's going to allow this Yankees team to possibly even win the World Series. Like, they got Anthony Rizzo back here in the championship series.
He's playing with two broken fingers, and he goes and hits what he hit, like I got it here, 1 second. He hit 429 in the series with 1,000 OPS with 2 broken fingers, and when he's doing that from like the 7th spot in the lineup, it's massive.
I think we just found out who the Yankees opponent is going to be. It is now
don't count out the Mets, but like, yeah, it's looking really good.
It's now a 6-1 Dodgers lead in a series that has had exactly one lead change, and it was in the first inning of this game. So it's going to be tough for the Mets. They can still do it, but we might have just figured out who's going to be the opponent for the Yankees. So going back to the Yankees, though, we've seen kind of everybody kind of showing up, doing their job, helping this team win. And then on the pitching side, I think we've seen, I don't want to say a breakout because it's not. This guy has been a solid major league pitcher for years in Luke Weaver. He was never amazing. He was a starter for almost his entire career, including when he came to the Yankees. This year, he is turned into their closer, their lockdown closer, with Clay Holmes really struggling. And Luke Weaver has just dominated in the series. Game 1, pitched an inning and 2/3 with no hits, no earned runs, just 1 walk and 4 strikeouts. That's game 1. Then game 2, Luke Weaver.
He saved that one too. Yeah. He saved every one of their wins from the division series, and then game 1 and 2 in the championship series. He ended up blowing game 3.
Mm-hmm.
And then game 4, I don't.
So let's see. He gave up.
He didn't pitch in that game, but
1 hit,
and then he
1
won.
run.
He won game 5.
1 hit, 1 run in game 2. In 1 inning. Oh, that's not a Yankees game.
But the point is, like, he's the unquestioned closer, and that was a real sore spot for them because Clay Holmes was having so many difficulties closing out games, and he solidified that and pushed Holmes down in the pecking order.
So Weaver did not have to pitch in game 4. Or he didn't pitch in game 4.
Yep.
He may have, probably should have, because
he was probably unavailable because he blew game 3 and he threw a lot of pitches.
Probably, but he ended up throwing, I think, 5 innings in the series, 6 innings in the series. Like, for your closer, that I don't think anyone thought was going to be your closer coming into the postseason. Like, I mean, at the end of the season, he was pitching really well for the Yankees.
He was closing.
Yeah, but I don't think anyone was expecting him to be quite this dominant. I think they were expecting Clay Holmes to get back into that role.
I was expecting Weaver to dominate because he's been great down the stretch, and they need him for this upcoming series.
So,
I got one more bullpen thought too on the Yankees because one of their other relievers, Ian Hamilton, got injured, I think after game 3 or in game 3 or something. And he got taken off the roster and they put Mark Leiter in, a guy that they had traded for at the trade deadline from the Cubs. He really, really struggled as a Yankee after the trade and was left off these postseason rosters. So he gets thrown immediately into the fire in game 4 and ends up pitching some big innings in game 4. And then also in game 5, he's called on again because the Yankees bullpen was stretched in these games to the point where they're relying on all their guys, like Tim Hill.
Yeah, Leiter in game 4 ended up throwing an inning and 2/3, giving up 2 hits and 1 run. And that the Yankees were behind at the time, so that 1 run, I mean, it's a little frustrating, I think. Or no, that's the run that allowed them to tie the game, right?
Yep.
Yeah, he is the blown save in that game. But yeah, really, really good there. And then got 2 outs in game 5, closing an inning and getting the first out of the next. So after not having pitched in a couple weeks, I'd say that's a pretty good first 2 postseason appearances.
Yeah, and those are the kind of contributions that they got all throughout their roster in this series, from back basically the guys that would typically be the lower leverage relievers like Holmes and Tim Hill, and then low guys in the batting order, Rizzo and Volpe and Verdugo.
So the starting pitching here for the Yankees has been really quite good as well. I mean, we've not really seen a whole lot of maybe length so much out of Clark Schmidt and out of Luis Gil. But getting 4 to 5 solid innings out of those guys, being able to turn it over to a bullpen that's been is shaky at times, but pretty steady overall. Like that's been big. So with Carlos Rodon pitching really well this series, especially game 1, game 2 from Garrett Cole, I believe.
I was going to say about Cole. Cole's the guy that I'm worried about because he was not very good in game 2. Extremely wild. He doesn't seem like he has his command right now. And he's going to definitely pitch game 1 of the World Series and probably a guy that's going to be lined up for. Do you think he would be lined up for like a game 4 and a game 7, or
I would
maybe that's not the Garrett Cole that they're really counting on at this point?
So I don't think that's the Garrett Cole they're counting on. I think Garrett Cole will make himself available to do that because he is one of the probably biggest competitors in this league. The dude that is willing to go out knowing he's not 100% like himself. He is willing to shoulder that load. And I think that is going to be invaluable in this series, especially if they're facing the Dodgers here. Because this Dodgers team in the postseason has averaged 6 runs a game. That's a lot. Like, Luis Gil and Clark Schmidt, they're good. They're young. This is going to be the first time on this big of a stage for them. So while I think they are going to be fine, there is that back of mind. Are they going to get the jitters because it's the World Series? It's a team as good as the Dodgers. Like, what, you don't know what to plan for. And so I think Garrett Cole, knowing that and knowing that he's been there with the Astros, he's been there, done it. I think he'll be ready to pitch game 4 and game 7 in some capacity. Maybe not start game 7, but he will be there to pitch. If Aaron Boone turns to him is maybe a different question. I don't think Aaron Boone is expecting him to pitch on short rest the way he's been throwing. But
yeah, I think I agree with that.
There's a point where, depending on how the series is going, he would be dumb not to give it to one of the best pitchers in Major League Baseball over the last 6 years. So,
yeah.
So it's a bit of a.
I do think that they're probably going to have to use Gil though. They're going to have to go four starters deep.
I think so too.
Some length there.
And so what they could do, depending on how it's going, you could always have Gil go game 5, assuming that there's going to be a game 5. Have Cole pitch game 4 for a couple innings, and then have him ready to come in game 7 if need be out of the pen. Like, there are things you could do. I think they are going to need 4 starters in this series no matter what. Because I'm not going to make Rodon pitch on short rest. Dude's already thrown a lot of innings. He's been good, but he's also shown signs of being a little bit wild at times. Like, I don't know that I want to push any of those guys to pitch on short rest. But the one that I would trust is Garrett Cole.
Sure.
So, yeah, it's a bit of a wish-washy non-answer from me as far as what I would do with him, but this is a really good team that probably doesn't even need to make him pitch on short rest. So, we'll see.
Okay, we've gone this entire episode, and we haven't mentioned Juan Soto and what he did in Game 5.
What he did in
So,
Game 5. What did he do in Game 5? I don't remember anything.
well,
I remember Giancarlo Stanton hitting a 2-run home run in the 6th inning to tie the game.
yeah, that was pretty cool. And then Juan Soto hit this home run that's probably going to be replayed over and over and over for the next 20, 30, 40, 50 years. I mean, this is an incredible home run
The Mets have life.
that he hit off Hunter. Heyo,
Mark Vientos, 2-run home run, his 5th of the postseason.
Yeah, he's been great. Right. But yeah, Juan Soto did a Juan Soto thing. Like, it just felt like the right thing for that moment, and the key moment to put the Yankees in the World Series for the first time in 15 years. I mean, has any trade of a player worked out better than the one that the Yankees made for Juan Soto before the season? This is a storybook season.
Has it worked out better immediately? No. I would say this is a trade that cannot be comped to literally anything else. There are trades that,
because stars of this caliber don't get moved
with 1 year left on their deal. Yep. Like, because I could think of players that were all-time greats that moved, and then that team ended up being legendary. Like, I mean, even going back to the 60s, like Lou Brock being traded from the Cubs to the Cardinals, and then Lou Brock becomes him. Like, that's one of those trades that you would say is maybe in the same realm, but for it to be an immediate, you bring in a 25-year-old superstar and make it to the World Series, and then he's maybe gone. And a one and done of a guy of that caliber, that's insane. It's never going to happen again. It's never happened before. Like, did you see the Yankees fans in Cleveland in the 10th inning were chanting, "Sign him back"?
Yeah, I mean, and you got it, right? At this point, it's like...
And then after the game, it was they were talking to Jazz, and I can't remember who the field reporter was, but she was
700 million.
Yeah, she said something about, what do you pay? I'm not going to ask you this, ask you this right now, but you got to wonder what they're going to pay him. And he just goes, 700 million. Okay.
He said 700 million final offer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And to be honest, that makes sense to me. Like, why not give him a Shohei style deal? He's younger. He, as far as just a pure hitter is concerned, it is better. Like, I feel confident in saying that. Like, I've seen what Shohei can do. I do think as a pure hitter, Soto might be a little bit better.
I think I know what you mean by pure hitter. Like, you mean he's got better, like, bat to ball skills?
Better bat to ball skills. They have roughly the same amount of value at the end of a season. Juan Soto can't steal 50 bases. Like, there's just some things like that it's like they're
different players.
Yes, they are. But my point is basically, this is a guy that is going to be as good as Shohei. He is 4 years younger than Shohei. Why not 700 for him? Like, yeah, he's not going to pitch, which that's part of why people think Shohei got 700. But I think Shohei should have got 700 just to be a hitter. So,
yeah. And he may get like a 14 or 15-year deal because of his age.
Yeah.
That'll be really something.
Yeah.
Going back to that at-bat, though, in the 10th inning, it was just a classic Juan Soto at-bat. The first pitch, he took it for a ball. He Soto shuffled. Pitch 2, he also took, and he didn't get the call there. Like, it was called a strike, and he didn't he wasn't happy with the call, and then he went to battle. Like he started fouling slider after slider after slider off, and the thing with Juan Soto is like the more pitches you throw him, and this is typically the case with any hitter, the more they see what a pitcher's doing, they start to get the advantage within the at bat, and that's especially true with Juan Soto. Like once he starts timing up these pitches and going deep into it at bat, he's either going to take a walk because of his extreme patience and extreme good eye, or he's going to do damage. And the pitch he hit out was like top of the zone fastball. It was right at the top of the zone,
and he hit
just
it
launched
109.7 mile an hour, 37 degrees off the bat. It went 402 to right field. So it just went and went and went. It
and
was,
he got so hyped. It was great.
Yeah. That is going to be probably his career defining moment. Like that moment.
Yeah, and he's already won a World Series. He's already had a huge moments within a World Series already.
Yeah, but like that moment reminds me so much of 2005 Albert Pujols off of Brad Lidge. Or 2006, sorry, 2006. Albert Pujols off of Brad Lidge in the National League Championship Series. I know, I'm wrong again. That was 2004. Because that was when we then went and got swept by the Red Sox. Yeah, 2004. But that massive home run that just everybody can always remember. They remember where they were when they saw it, how big of a hit that was. Like, this was an extra innings, 3-run home run to go to the World Series. It's hard to write a story that good. The only thing that would have made it a little bit more memorable is if they were down in the bottom of the 10th. And
if it was a walk-off, that's about it.
It's the only thing. So, or game 7, I guess, but like to me though, it just, that was the moment that was like, yes, the Guardians have hung in this series. They've been hanging in every game. Like, there weren't any like that was, blowouts.
That was what I was going to actually say. Even though it was a 4-1 series, these were tight games. Like every game was a tight game except kind of game 1. But even game 1, they had a lot of opportunities to score more runs, and ultimately that was what we thought was kind of the Guardians' weak spot is their offense, their lineups. They don't stack up with like a Yankees or a Dodgers. They're nowhere close, and that was their undoing because they couldn't hang with all that offense. And the other thing that broke down for Cleveland, and another kind of thing to point out for the Yankees that they did so well, is they beat the Guardians' best relievers, and Cleveland's had the best bullpen in baseball this year, and a historically good bullpen. And those 4 guys in Hunter Gaddis, Emmanuel Clase, Cade Smith, Tim Herron, and they actually pitched a lot worse than they had all year because of the Yankees' big bats.
Yeah. But that Juan Soto home run was boiling the entire season down into one moment. I would say that is the moment that, to me, says this Yankees team is a juggernaut that is not to be messed with. This is probably the best Yankees team we've seen since the early 2000s. Does that seem fair?
They won a World Series in
2009. You're right. I forgot about that.
Yeah.
Okay, since 2009. But
that's an interesting question. I feel like they've had some good teams, though. The teams that lost to the Astros, they were very, very good teams also.
Yes. I think part of it for me on those is like those were some of the Yankees teams that still seemed like they were just kind of built with some of the about to retire, used to be amazing players that are now just pretty good. But I feel like this is a Yankees lineup that bringing in Jazz Chisholm, having Gleyber Torres back to hitting like himself, Juan Soto and Aaron Judge, all guys that are pretty relatively young here. Giancarlo Stanton, the elder statesman of the team, hitting nukes after nukes after nukes. Like it just, this feels different than some of those other really good Yankees teams. Like this is a team that I look at and I have questions, but the entire season I thought this was one of the best teams in the league. The questions I have with them are, can they sustain it through a postseason? Not, is this actually a good team? And some of those other Yankees teams would go in stretches where it's like, I don't know that this is actually a good team or if they're just happening to be good right now. Does that make sense?
I think so. But it's a good question. I think I would be interested to look back at some of those other teams.
But so going into the World Series, do they have home field over the Dodgers?
It depends. They don't.
They don't, not over the Dodgers, but over the Mets they would.
Yeah.
Yep. Okay. So let's just say a minimum of 3 games in Yankee Stadium. Do you see there being any... Is there anything in your mind that stands out that is going to need to be different in a World Series matchup against, say, the Dodgers if they want to be able to win? Like another absolutely high-octane offense, the kind of complete opposite of Cleveland, or a team like the Mets that seems to be scrappy. Like, is there going to have to be somewhat of a strategy change, or do the Yankees just full send, keep going the way we're going, we're killing it, we can beat anybody with our brand of baseball?
The one nitpick, and it's only because it's postseason, you can make this nitpick. It's they've got to pitch better because they're playing a way better offense.
Jesse Winker.
Jesse Winker's a god.
Oh my lord. He's up to 1.267 OPS in the postseason.
The offense is not a concern for me with the way things are going. Like it doesn't matter the opponent, their offense is good enough to be right there. It's more a question of how do you slow the Dodgers down. Like the Mets couldn't do it, and the Mets have decent pitching. I would say they're roughly equivalent to the Yankees. I mean, I wouldn't give a strong edge to either one of those teams. So slowing that team down is going to be incredibly difficult.
So in your mind, what would be a more fun type of matchup? A 2 high-octane offenses going against each other in a World Series, or 2 teams that are equal on the pitching front, both in the rotation and the bullpen, and one that has a high-octane offense, the other has been scrappy AF for the last, 3.5 months?
Yeah. I think the Dodgers and the Yankees would be the best matchup we could ask for. I mean, these are super teams. They've got all the stars. They've got all the firepower. I mean, it's like going to be a
that's why I was trying to not ask it from just which is going to be more fun from the players on the teams, and more of like a what style of World Series would be more fun.
I always want more offense. I think that makes the games more exciting in general over a course of a series. Not saying I don't like a pitcher's duel, but like you want to see runners on base. You want to see action.
So if that's the case, and in the 5th inning, the Dodgers currently holding a 3-run lead, if it were the Dodgers and the Yankees, if this holds and it's the Dodgers and the Yankees, what team do you give the edge to overall?
That's so hard. Because
I could tell you which one has the better hitter or the better offensive team, in my opinion. I could also tell you which one has the more not Achilles heel of a pitching staff.
Okay, tell me what you think. Then I'm still thinking about it.
I think the Dodgers have the leg up on hitting, in my opinion. Yes, the Yankees lineup top to bottom is playing really well right now, but so are the Dodgers. And I think some of the postseason Kike at the bottom of the lineup. Chris Taylor still sucks. He's kind of their biggest. He's kind of their biggest hole in the lineup. But Edman has been fantastic. Teoscar this year was fantastic. Ohtani and Betts. If Freddie's ankle is healthy enough for him to play in the World Series, which I imagine it will be, because he's not gonna want to sit out. I think that team is the better offense. I think the Yankees have the better pitching staff from the standpoint that they have more than 2 starters. Because the Dodgers really seem to not want to use Walker Buehler. But I don't know. I still find it really hard to pick against the Dodgers, though, because they've been making it happen with 2 legit starters who basically every other start for them is good, and then the other one is meh. And then they're turning to their bullpen for the entire postseason. And it's worked.
Yeah, I think initially I agree, but I think we should do another podcast, full World Series preview. And I want to think about it a little bit more. And I think that's going to be a great World Series.
I think so too. And I think if we do a bit longer one, I kind of want to look back, because this would be the 12th matchup in World Series history between the Brooklyn / Los Angeles Dodgers and the Bronx Bombers.
Have the LA Dodgers ever played the Yankees?
Yes, in the 80s.
Okay.
So there's a lot to look at here, just from a historical perspective, what it means to baseball, if that's the matchup, and then just the matchup itself. I think we could do probably 3 episodes on it easily. So that'll do for us for tonight. We will make our picks here a little later in the week, because obviously we don't even technically know who's in for the NL. So thank you very much for listening to us. Also, next week on Sunday, we have a very, very special guest that will be joining us. I won't name names. Let's just say, for the first time ever, we will be able to say that we have a Major League Baseball player on the podcast. So make sure to check out next week's episode. I'm very excited. Hope you guys are too. And we will see you back here very, very, very soon.
If you enjoy the podcast, please subscribe on your favorite podcasting app and YouTube to make sure you don't miss any future episodes. Join the conversation on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok at Getaway Day Pod. If you enjoy card collecting, check out our sister YouTube channel at Getaway Day Cards.